wonder if all those people who said black people have been complaining for nothing and systemic oppression no longer exists, if they're still talking the same stuff that they've been talking. Because looking at the current administration is what we're going to call it, and all the way he's rolling back all the DEI programs, he's like deleting all black people from the White House website. He's like rearranging the National African American History and Culture Museum. He's like doing all of this stuff to like minimize the contribution of black people to this country, ensure that we don't have representation in any sort of positive light across the country, ensure that any kind of gaps that systemic oppression has caused and had been being lessened, or the gaps had been being smaller, he's ensuring that that's no longer happening and trying to put it under the guise of merit-based leadership. Like, all of this crap he's doing is obviously racist, obviously against black people and people of color in general. But black people, we got a long beef against white supremacy, specifically in this country. And I just people have been like, yeah, no, there's nothing that black people can't do that everyone else can't do, or like, no, there's no powers that be that's against black people. Like, what do you see what we're talking about? Like, I feel like now it's overt, but it's still technically covert. It's still technically him saying stuff like, we're eliminating DEI programs because people should be able to get there on their own, while of course ignoring the historical oppression that has happened. So it's still like, if you are willfully ignorant enough, he still is giving people like a grain of an excuse to be like, no, he's not racist. No, this is all right. Oh no, this is all fair. And I'm just like, this is what we see. And you see how they're trying to make it look like it's not, but this is how it's always been. Like, that's what my thing is. It's always been policies or like changes or just stuff that they do that they know for a 1,000% fact is going to disproportionately impact black people, like the powder versus the rock situation, where a certain demographic of people did the powder, and so if you got caught with a powder, they didn't make it against black people, but they said if you get caught with the powder, it's you get a slap on the wrist, but if you get caught with the rock, which is then one they know that was more widespread in the black community, you get life in prison. And so like stuff like that is what they do. They say it's not about black and white, but then they do stuff that they know for a 100% fact intentionally impacts black people more. But people still sit here and say, black people, you got nothing to worry about. Black people, stop complaining. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. There's no systemic oppression. Look within your own community. You guys need to hold yourselves accountable. Oh yeah, there's no positive media representation because people in the black community aren't doing positive things. Y'all are the ones who want to listen to rap music and shake your behinds on the television screens. That's your fault. But they never talk about who owns the distribution channels. Who owns the things that are putting out these messages about black people? Is it black people? No. Name a black person who owns the biggest media, one of the top 6 big media companies in the United States. I'll wait. Crickets, but it's black people's fault. That the propaganda against black people is so perverse. It's the black people's fault. Oh, because if no one in the world, because they wouldn't have the stories if black people weren't doing the stuff that they were talking about. So you want every single black person in the United States to be perfect all the time. That's what you're saying. Where you're saying, if black people weren't, doing stuff, they wouldn't have anything to report out on the news about us. So you're saying the fact that like 80% of crime coverage on the news is all about black people, when 80% of the actual crime being committed across the United States is white people, you feel like that's our fault that we're committing too much crime. And it's not the fault of the people who are reporting out the stories. And they're picking and choosing what stories they want to report out. And they just happen to always pick the stories about black people. It's just like, I feel like it's willful. It's got to be willful ignorance. You have to be trying to be dense on purpose. At this point, you don't want to know the truth. It's not that you don't know the truth. It's like you don't want to know. You don't want to let go of the bias that you have. You don't want to acknowledge the systemic oppression that Black people have, because then you have to acknowledge that all this time you ignored it, or all this time you felt like it wasn't happening. And so you just like, oh, it's easier just to stay in denial, and that way the truth is never true because I don't believe it. I don't know. That's it. I was just like, I was thinking about the Amanda Seales, Surrounded podcast from Jubilee, and I think she did a great job of articulating why Black people are still oppressed, but to see how many Black people, and thus I know how many other people of races across the country feel like it is Black people's fault that we are, as a community, in the position that we are in. I'm tired, y'all. I am tired. Like, oh, y'all shouldn't be shaking y'all behinds. Like they're not going into impoverished neighborhoods and picking the loudest, ratchetest, ghettoest women that they can possibly find and then putting them on the big screen for everybody to see. They don't go to working class Black neighborhoods and saying like, hey, I choose you to represent the Black community. No, they're going to the ghetto. They're going to the places where people are uneducated. They're going to places where poverty is rampant and saying, I pick you. And then they're also doing that because, one, those people are uneducated and they don't know what they should say yes or no to. They just see dollar signs and you're like, okay, cool. And then those people don't even realize that they're like signing their entire lives away. They're signing these freaking 8, 9, 10 album deals, knowing that you can't get 8, 9, 10 albums out for like 20 years. They're literally signing like 20-year contracts with these people, going into debt with these music industries, trying to get a leg up, and really they're just another pawn in the system. But it's Black people's fault. They're just pushing the narrative that pays them the most, and the narrative that pays the most is the one that white people want to see. Like, that is what I call it, the white gaze. Like, the male gaze is like, it appeals to the male gaze. It is the white gaze. They are appealing to the white gaze, and the white gaze enjoys watching Black people in positions that they're familiar with seeing Black people in. They're familiar with us being the maid, the cook, the cleaner, the bus driver, the imprisoned person, the prisoner, the slave. That, like, they're used to seeing that, and so when you see that, or the comic, the clown, like the musician, even like the entertainment, like they're used to seeing Black people in those spaces, and so whenever you try to take a movie and put a Black person in a different space, like, that's not going to sell because that's not what they want to see. That's not what they're used to seeing. That's not what makes them comfortable. Seeing Black people successful, like, for people who have been raised in white racist, white supremacist America, it makes them uncomfortable. Like, it's just like, ooh, a Black person in power, what does that mean for me? What will they do to me? And that's like, really, that's projection, is guilt, because it's whenever you know that white people are in power, what they do to Black people. But anyways, all right, that's it. I'm done. That's all. It's just, would y'all please stop saying that's Black people's fault? Because at this point, you can see the powers that be working against us. And if you can't see it, then that's because you don't want to.